The teachings of Osiris, set down in the house of El Eros, El Eroa, they being male-female, born according to laws governing the Duman, Adamic race, this being their fourth incarnation. Introduction. This book of preliminary teachings consists of the writings which preceded and led up to the works known as the Book of Truth or the Voice of Osiris. Those who have read that book and my own introduction to it will only require a few words of additional explanation from me in regard to the teachings. In my introduction to the Book of Truth I wrote that the earlier writings were of an educational nature, and preparation for the book is to me an obvious and reasonable suggestion. Now that these earlier writings are presented to the public, they will have an opportunity to judge that opinion for themselves. To my mind, apart from their intrinsic interest, the teachings are valuable as showing step by step the gentle preparation of the writer for his work of producing the Book of Truth. From the first night when the writing started and he heard a voice tell him to pick up that pencil and write, to the night, months later, when the voice disclosed its identity and its purpose, the writer was led through a course of instruction of gradually increasing difficulty in various conceptions which were entirely new and strange to him. Without this preliminary instructions in these conceptions, as well as in the actual techniques of the clairaudient dictation, by which these writings were produced, one may assume that the writer would have been unable to produce the Book of Truth, for the reason that even if it had been possible for him to pick up the difficult names and sentences which occur in that book without previous practice, it is probable that he would have been inclined to reject it all as madness. As it was, having had some foretaste of what was to follow, he was ready and willing to undertake the work of the book itself, and when this came it did not seem so extraordinary to him as it might have done. Even so, after he had been receiving the preliminary writings for some weeks, he was worried about himself and asked for my advice, and since April 6, 1925, I had the privilege of being in constant touch with him at his work, and at no time have I discovered anything abnormal about him. Just as they were valuable to him, so I think will the teachings be valuable to the public by showing the easy, natural steps by which an ordinary, normal, everyday man was led to accept the work of writing the Book of Truth without qualm. Certain personal matters which, of course, gave the writer additional confidence in the writings have been omitted, but it will be noticed that a good deal of personal advice with regard to the writer's health has been left in. For the benefit of those who are not acquainted with the Book of Truth, I cannot do better than to repeat certain conclusions expressed in my introduction to that work, which are equally applicable to the preliminary teachings. 1. The rate of writing was exceptionally fast, and at no time was there to be found any erasure on the manuscript. 2. The most careful inquiry into the life of the writer shows him to be a man who at no period of his existence has shown any inclination to have acquired any knowledge whatsoever concerning the subjects of these writings. 3. In view of these facts and the nature of the Book of Truth, it does not appear to me that the writings can be adequately accounted for as the product of what is commonly termed the subconscious mind, as understood by the psychologist. A more tenable hypothesis is that the work is that of a superior intelligence coming from beyond and using the writer as a medium. Signed, Peter Miles. Teachings 1, February 9, 1925 to April 13, 1925. Spiritual Success. I come from a far country to thee, O my beloved, that I may show thee the ways that thou shouldst go. It has been long since I have spoken with thee, but I have always known that thou wouldst come to me. Behold, the things that I will show thee are passing marvelous. If thou hast strength and can pursue the road that I shall direct, thou shalt attain great heights spiritually. It is only by diligent study that thou canst learn the ways of truth. Behold, I will hold converse with thee each evening at this hour. If thou art unable any night to attend, I shall wait until thou shalt be able to be with me. My first teaching to thee shall be the way of spiritual success. To attain true spiritual success, thou must help attain true love for thy fellow creatures. Help them to go forward, and thine own path will be pointed out to thee. Behold, the workings of God are very marvelous, and his ways exceedingly narrow. Thou art chosen, O my son, and thy name shall be mighty in the sight of God. Go forward, and I will teach thee thy path, and make it easy. Success. Behold, I will now resume my teaching with thee, and my first shall be that of success. To be successful in thy undertaking, thou shalt make a close study of the needs and wants of others. Thou shalt at all times bear animosity toward thy fellow, and thou shalt stretch out the hand of help to all who are in need. This thou shalt observe in all thy workings, for it may so happen that thou shalt be called to stretch out thy hand to thy enemy. If thou dost observe this, which I have set before thee, thou shalt surely attain great success, and thy name shall be great in the sight of God. Behold, my time with thee is short, but one more thing would I show thee at this meeting, namely that amongst these whom thou dost call thy friends and thine enemies, there is not one iota of difference. Thy enemies are but phantoms created by the physical mind, but after the passing all their lessons to learn, and there are those who are judged not to have satisfied the Creator in their earth life. These must of a truth continue, for no spirit is ever lost. Although should a spirit sink so down that he is past redemption, then final and self-inflicted disintegration will be his lot. Before taking my departure, I would say it is not yet time that thou shouldst know who I am, or where I may come from, but thou shalt be satisfied in thy due season. Write that which I set before thee fearlessly, and trusting that thou art receiving the very truth, and thou shalt reap thy reward in due time. Continuity of purpose. My lecture tonight, O my son, shall deal with continuity of purpose. In all thy dealings thou must observe an untiring effort of concentration, for it is only by serious concentration that thou shalt reach thy hidden goal. Behold, many are the hours that I have set apart from all men, and have shut myself up with my thoughts. Let me say unto thee that the things which thou dost most desire are bound to fall to thy lot, for thou art one of the children of the Most High, and art thou not a rightful share in the treasure house of the Lord? Each day must thou and thy wife set aside time for concentration of thought. Above all, let it be known unto thee that it is most difficult, when first learning the power of concentration, to deal solely with that which comes uppermost in thy thoughts. Behold, my time is short tonight, but I will surely come at the same hour on the morrow. Thy progress is good, and thy powers of reception are becoming more practiced. The law of attraction and repulsion. I am with thee again, O my son, and tonight thy vibrations have been rather upset by a discordant atmosphere. This is the reason why I had difficulty in penetrating thee. Be thou sure, however, that I will see that thy strength and vitality are in no way injured. Tonight I shall say a few words to thee on the law of attraction and repulsion, which is a very little known to your modern civilization. It should be well known unto thee that like attracts like, and vice versa. The true reason for this being that a vibration will play on any instrument which has the same rate of vibration as itself. I am now coming to a point which should be well pursued by thee. As I dost surely know, the rates of vibration change with thy varying moods. Therefore I would say unto thee, that if thou dost allow themselves to take on the vibrations of jealousy, revenge, temper, or many of the undesirable things that can be mentioned, then dost thou lay thyself open to be played upon by all vibrations of the same sort, and the condition that may dwell around. There is a very old and wise saying which reads, Thus, O my son, thou shalt reap as thou dost sow, but be sure that all thy doing, good and evil, shall come back to their birthplace. On the morrow I perceive that thou art able to be with me to time. See that thou dost rest well. Tomorrow after thy lessons thou mayest put to me any questions appertaining to the success that thou dost think rightfully necessary for the advancement of thyself, and any others who may earnestly need knowledge. How to keep thine own counsel. I am with thee, O my son, and what I have to set before thee is how to keep thy own counsel. This is one of the most important of the laws of nature. Behold, on the spirit side in your earth life. Behold, it is not well to let the world know what is in thy mind, or in the making, as unconsciously those who are acquainted with thy thoughts will send out certain vibrations of thought, and these may not be good to thyself, but may be of a destroying nature, and may altogether mar thy undertaking. Behold, if thou dost have any plan or undertaking, tell it only to those who are actually of thy creed, and who are working solely for thy good. Tell it not to any that are not closely acquainted with thee, or they may seek to use thy plan, and by so doing, spoil thy own in the way that I will show thee. They may seek to operate thy plan at the same time as thou, and by operating with different vibrations thyself, they may cause non-success to thyself and themselves also. I will cease my lesson for tonight, that I may answer thy questions which thou hast prepared. Behold, on the morrow I will attend for a further lesson. The subjective mind. The subjective mind, O my son, shall be thy lesson tonight. The spirit, when in earth life and inhabiting your body, possesses the conscious mind, which works out the various thoughts and doing of mankind. Tonight, O my son, I shall deal with what is known as the subjective mind. This is the part of man's consciousness which is only known to the spirit as apart from the physical body, and is very little recognized on your material plane. It is through the subjective mind, O thee, my son, that I am able to set before thy conscious mind my lessons which I teach thee. The subjective mind may be penetrated in various ways. First, I will place before thee the complete hypnotic control of the instrument or medium. In this case, the instrument is deprived of all conscious mind, and almost invariably is unable to remember anything that has been performed during the period of trance. I will now take a second case, O my son, the one which was being with thee. Thou hast a conscious mind working subconsciously, and thou art able with thy conscious mind to transmit that which through thy subjective mind I give thee. This is the surest way when thou hast complete control, and art able to distinguish between the subjective mind working on the conscious mind, and the conscious working on the conscious. Never, O my son, think of what thou dost wish to say, only simply write what I give, for thou wilt always be able to distinguish. The immortality of the spirit. Tonight, O my son, I shall lecture to thee on the immortality of the spirit. The spirit is a rate of vibration which exists within our human bodies. The body is only an envelope to enclose the spirit. In your modern civilization, you have become so material as not to realize that you have the very God within yourself. This, however, is a matter that I shall deal with later on in my teaching. The spirit which inhabits the house of your physical body is endowed with many so-called marvelous or supernatural peculiarities. It is through the immortal soul or spirit that we perceive everything that takes place around us. It is the immortal soul which I would now instruct thee, O my son, how to use. Thy soul, being immortal, has much latent knowledge which only awaits the flinging wide open of the fetters which blind its eyes, and behold, our very bodies would not believe that they have been so blind in their ignorance. Behold, later I shall show thee that thy soul can travel far into the flash of a moment, and can live other lives of which thou canst not even dream. Dost thou think that thy spirit was created but for one incarnation, and has but the trivial task of living this physical earth life? Nay, this earth life is but a little thing along the way scale of time, and thou shalt know that thou hast not yet started to fulfill thy lot which has been given thee. Behold, I shall show thy subjective self many strange things in due time, but first thou must learn thoroughly the road that thou must take if thou dost desire this state. Behold, I shall acquaint thy wife through thee of her beginning, and she shall duly help in the latter. But let her guard that she do not waste her energy by prying too far ahead, for let it be known to thee, O my son, to seek too far ahead is to find nothing. Tomorrow at the same hour I shall stand with thee, and behold, thou mayest question on matters of extreme importance. Get thy horoscope set before thee. Beyond the veil. Behold, O my son, I am at hand, and will teach you one of the teachings which shall show that thou canst live another life during thy rest hours.